keep from having one again. But we had a world depression.
Clarence, go up there and stand in front of
Okay. When you're ready. You ready?
Just stop, Clarence. Now, who lived here? Who lived in this house with you?
This house here, my mother and my three sisters lived in it. We had nowhere. We were what you call squatters. We had nowhere to go. And we couldn't pay no rent, and all we got was a little government check for about $33 a month. And the man that owned this farm here let us live in this house in order to look after his cows and all. But then everybody else also were poor. They didn't have anything. But still at the same time, we were more or less gypsy types. All right.
Just start from that thought, gypsy types.
Yeah, well, we were ever confused. In other words, we'd go to bed hungry and wake up hungry. We were ever confused. We didn't know where our next meal was coming from. And then we would try, if we got a job, they'd pay you 50 cents a day from daylight to dark. And there was no one to touch. There's no one to reach to. Everybody else was poor, and in this society we have, we call it the capitalist system. If a man's got a farm, and I went to school barefooted, and the kids had on shoes, were much prouder than you are. In other words, this society we have, it marks you by what you have in your wealth. And if you're very poor, it's a sin. In other words, they look down on you, and it's a sin. It's an unforgivable sin to be poor. And we moved in this house here. We lived over here in another little house. And I know where one man dug a hole to live in this country. He just dug a hole and put something over the top. But it is amazing what they put the American people through. In 1929 it started up until 1939. But still at the same time, the Depression was on until World War II. We had 13 million people out of work in 1940. So we started World War and we put people to work. And I left this country about 15, 16, I was about 16 years old and went to California. I spent all my life in California, more or less. But the South, as Clarence Elliot said, has the most ignorant people in the United States. They're born ignorant and they die ignorant. And that's a fact. But the thing of it is, I have no respect for my father and mother because, hell, as a kid, I had to get out and hustle to get a biscuit. No education, no nothing. Then I would be in California and I go up where the rich are. And I see these kids running around with beautiful clothes on and $1 million, $2 million, $5 million homes. And I would think how my mind would be if I was born in that condition, in that society, rich, instead of so poor. And it makes all the difference in the world. Someone that's born with money and means that someone isn't. But the South, they want to laugh about it. They want to make jokes about it. And they'll go out here and they got an old mule in the barn and they'll plow. And year after year, they stay more or less the same, and they don't advance. Same way the coal miners in Kentucky and them people. I guess they'll never advance, and the government don't seem to care. But it's an unforgivable sin to be poor. My father and mother, they were crud as far as I'm concerned, because they didn't show me nothing. I went to school barefooted in the wintertime. How can you have an appreciation for a father and mother kick you out the door and you go to school barefooted? I don't see how in the world anyone could. Of course, I live in the West and my mind developed in the West. I went to school in the West. But the South has always been the backward country. And hopeful that it'll get better one of these days. Take a break.
You don't mind if he goes in?
No, just be careful.
You don't mind me. I just want to look in. Yeah, it's open.
Can you get up there, Clarence?
Yeah, I get up. I just want to look in it, just see. It had a little kitchen on that side over there.
was the wood stove? And y'all was 3 of you lived in here.
Four. 3 sisters and me.
And this was a coal stove. You used to stick
Yeah.
coal up at school?
Well, you know, the thing I'm getting at now, when you're ready, I'll start.
I'm ready.
All right. What I'm trying to say is, my mother set me right in there, had a little kitchen over there, and didn't have nothing but just cornbread and butter and water. Didn't have nothing else to eat. And my sister, a guy come through here selling candy and giving punch boards. And my sister took one and ate the candy and threw the punch board away. And the guy come back, wanted his money. And my mother told him, says, I don't have the money. You gave that to the kids and they ate it. And he started getting rough right here in the store. And so he just started raising heck, and she reached in there and got a pistol. And he almost tore that door off getting out and run to the road. But still at the same time, you'd have to live it. I left here and I went to Detroit. I walked the streets looking for a job. California, I happened to get out to California, and I got a job in the shipyard with Henry J. Kaiser. But still, all in all, this is the South right here. You see it. And all the people, I had an uncle, he had 8 children, and it was ridiculous. They'd had milk, cornbread, and his kids went to school and they all had raisins on them for lack of vitamins. And pus would come out of their skins and raisins, and they had no vitamins. If they got sick, most of them died. They had no provisions to get any medicine, and they had no money. So I can go a little step further. Since those days, you will never see another depression in this country. We're headed for a revolution now, which would be better than a depression, because the thing I'm getting at is, you can talk war, you can talk this. The worst thing in the world is a depression on the mind, because it downs you. It puts you've got no shoes on, or people look down on you.
Clarence, come around here.
All right.
Come walk. Okay. Now, did y'all have did y'all do your washing and stuff?
We did everything right here. A tub, you just wash them, and a little, you know, in the wintertime we had to go out here. I got a little coal out here from the school. They donated a little coal to me. But I'm saying all we had is just a wood stove to heat with, see? And I say that the problem of poverty, regardless of how much you get, it never leaves you. The people raised during the Depression years, it never leaves them.
Where was the garden at? Did you
Huh?
have a garden here anywhere?
No, we didn't have no garden. We didn't have nothing to put no garden in with. This was all just rock. And all we done is just try to survive. And of course, you must remember World War II come in there about 37, starting January 37. And we would have had a revolution if you hadn't had a war. I mean, a full employment.
Hey, did y'all just heat with?
Well, we managed to survive without dying. That's about all you can say. We didn't get no sickness, or we would have died.
Now, your dad was dead when y'all.
He died over here at a place in a shack over here in 1936 or 37. Now that's the best thing ever happened to me when he died.
Well, what was it when you lived here?
We lived here, I'd say 38, 39, or the years after he'd done gone and passed away, had died. But I like to throw this in. I went in a real secluded club in California, Hearst Castle. It's amazing what Hearst Castle is. And I walked in there, walking on in, a man reached out and got me. He says, where you headed? I said, oh, here at the bar to have a drink. He said, this is a secluded country club. You got to belong here, and you got to be a millionaire to belong. So these people have money. They protect themselves in these secluded clubs, and you go on the property and they'll arrest you. And so they, in this country in the past, the rich had everything, but that has been destroyed. They don't know that. But it is coming down the pipes. When they put the Civil Rights Act in, you killed a capitalist system. And when I say killed it, it no longer existed. Where one man's got a 10,000 acre ranch, he's got 1,000 people working for him, like in the South. Those days are gone. The next thing you'll see, if there's depression, it will be a revolution. All major cities will be burnt. And that'll go on for years and years. And then we'll come in with a new government and new money. That's the name of the game.
Clarence, now you said that was a kitchen.
The future of America. Poor boy makes good, tell him. Now this is where I started from.
So what was it like going to school here in Tennessee?
I never went to school. I couldn't read or write. There was no school.
You went to Harrison, didn't you?
Oh man, there's 50 kids in there and the teacher hated every one of them. She said, you can't go. I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to teach either. All you do is smell somebody had the itch, sulfur. It's terrible. They walked out of these woods here. They didn't know nothing. They were, and most of them still don't. But, but this is what they call the future of America. I left here broke, and I'm still broke. And I've been all over the United States. And I see now there's no use getting your hopes up too much when you're 73 years old. But still, I say things are looking better all the way around.
How long did y'all live here, Clarence? Total years?
We didn't time it. We just stay somewhere they let us. We moved out here into a house over on Whipwheel Road. The state owned it. And we just moved in it. And they surprised to come by there and see us living in a state-owned house. And we told them we thought we owned part of it. But they finally got us out, and we went over to the Gunnison house. But it is unbelievable the suffering and humiliation that poverty puts you through. Unbelievable. And people don't seem to understand it. But if you're poor, you are poor.
You wouldn't want to move back in this house?
Huh?
You wouldn't want to move back?
Well, I mean, I'm not used to too much as it is. But I say I wouldn't. The only thing about this here, what I try to emphasize is that I have two sisters, are millionaires over, and it's still with them. The depression is. In other words, I'm talking about the brain damage it does.
Well, what did y'all eat and she cook in there for you? How long did you say you lived here? A year, 2 years?
No, we stayed there about a year.
No, here.
Here, about a year.
You lived here about a year.
We went up here at the grocery store and get, you know, flour. Flour was a big deal, and gravy, cornbread, and pinto beans, you know. And then the government would give out a certain amount of prunes and stuff for the people to eat.
So y'all go up here to the store?
Yeah, Orb Edwards' store up here at Harrican, yeah.
Who owned this at the time?
Orb Edwards owned this. He owned that. He's the one who built the other house there. And he built a home there. I remember that back in the 40s. He built it.
Why did he let you stay here?
Huh?
Why did he let you stay here? Why did he let y'all stay here?
Oh, they didn't. No, they don't let you stay anywhere. It's all dollars and cents. When he figured that, you know, poverty is very cruel. Dollar counts.
Why did he let you stay here, though?
Well, we took care of his cows for a while, see. And then he was getting the money we got from the government to help us, you know. But still, don't ever let anybody tell you depression isn't rough. It is. Awful rough. And I've been in Mexico and all them places, and they have awful deep poverty in Mexico. All predominantly Catholic countries, they have poverty. So just hope you never have to go through a depression, that's all. Because if I figured I had to go through that, I'm done.
Sit right there. Back up, Dave, and get him from far off here. Get him out here pretty good ways off. Get the whole house roof it off. Get him back here, back to the truck. Can you get the chimney and all in there? You might come down here and get it.
I got it all.
You look pretty at home there, Clarence.
Yeah, can you just stay there for a little bit? I want to get some other shots.
Well,
Or anything, just
as I like to say, I like to emphasize the mentality of it. I went to school at Majors, and the teacher never talked to us poor kids. She only talked to the two that had money, and one of them was a major. And as I say, kids can be very cruel. People can be very cruel, and if you don't have money, it's very, very cruel. I saw one of the major boys in a restaurant down in Oakland, down in Lebanon, and I noticed what a strange feeling I had to come over me, that he had so much more than I had when we were children. And it stays with you, and it's hard to eliminate it. And that's why that people in our society that have money have the edge on people that don't have money, because they go to the finest colleges, they get the finest training, and I think it's somewhat unjust, you know. And as a rule, my mother, she begged me for money as long as she lived. Always want me to send her money. And if you come from a poor clan, as a rule, they're always leaning on you. If you come from a rich clan, they're always giving you money. So it's really a complex society. But I think it will be straightened out within the next few years. And they come out with a Civil Rights Act for the Negro, but they didn't do it for the Negro. They did it because they wanted to kill the capitalist system, and that's what they did. Negro in Oakland, California said, I got 9 kids, there's no point in me working. I get more money from the government. I get free medical, I get everything. Why should I work? When you do that, you've killed the system. And the ones that have the most to lose will be the ones that have big, beautiful homes, automobiles, and don't know what poverty is. But it's a terrible thing. Terrible thing. I never will forget it as long as I live. And I've been around the Greens, they're my people, and it marked them as bad as it did me and the rest of us.
whoa.
Let's go.
All right.
Let me get one other view. Let me go in the house and get you to sit back down.
All right. Okay, let me get up. Give me a hand.
Once you get in there,
Wait a minute.
you get in there and follow that camera.
No, don't fall
You're
down.
not worried about me. You're
We
just
got-
worried about the camera.
You're darn right.
We got enough.
Yeah, we got enough. Survey inside the house if you want to.
No, I
Yeah.
want him to sit down so I can get a shot like
All right.
that you can use from behind.
Huh? All right.
Stand over and let me talk to you a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, as I say,
Now, Alice lived here.
yeah,
Who else?
Alice, Annie, and Bessie, my 3 sisters and me. We all live right here in this house.
Well, what did y'all come to
Huh?
live here? How did you get here?
Well, we got here, this place originally belonged to my mother, father, and I understand what little I know about it. Her father and mother had it. So this is kind of a family hand-down place.
No, I mean, to live here, y'all
We could live anywhere they'd let us. We didn't have no choice.
y'all came down here and asked to live here.
Yeah, we begged to live here. We didn't have enough roof over our heads. It's either that or the street. And, you know, and if it gets cold here in the wintertime.
So Orb said that'd be
Yeah, if you take care of my cows, you can live there. I mean, you know, they bargain with you when you're poor. They bargain with you. You know, what have you got to offer, you know? And it goes right from the bottom to the top that way. The poorest of poor will bargain with you, work you all day for 50 cents a day, and won't even eat with you. I worked for farmers here, wouldn't eat with you. You had to go to the side table to eat. And they wanted you to have great respect for them. All right?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Okay, here we go. I don't know how long that building's been there. It's been there a long time.
Well, it was there before you lived there.
Oh, yeah, it was long before me. Yeah.
I thought you said you slept in the top of it.
No, I didn't know.
You had a bed in there? Y'all all slept in one bed?
Well, there's two beds in
What
there.
were the living arrangements like in the house?
Huh?
Yeah. What were the living arrangements like in the?
We had a bed in that corner, bed in that corner. One, two. And that was all. Had what could sleep in the bed slept on the floor.
You slept on the floor?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Slept on the floor. And the amazing thing, this guy used to come by here, T.A. Moss, and we'd laugh and talk about me going mooching, you know, and playing blind and all that.
You played blind?
Yeah, like we was going in a wheelchair or walking with a cane. But all in all, as I say, I hate to see a child that has no. In other words, as far as I'm concerned, if you're born in poverty, you'd be better off than never been born.
Y'all have a kitchen table in there?
Yeah, there was a kitchen table over on this side, a little small one. But as I
Y'all come in and this would be where you slept?
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Where
And
was
you
the
know,
color
you're
TV?
lucky to have it.
Where was the color TV?
Didn't have none. But I tell you,
Give us your
What did you do
opinion on television. What do you
Huh?
think about television?
well, television is one of the worst things that's ever been invented because man, they control man's mind with it. I mean, they should have never come out with it. Television should have never been put on the public because a politician can control them. And that's the way they do it. They go on television, and another thing while we're on it, in this society, they call making a movie stars. Clark Gable and all them and Gone with the Wind, which is baloney all the way. I mean, strictly a damn fool's got to go watch it. And then they got a hillbilly like Roy Acuff down here. That's sorry. Gets up and sings a damn song, makes millions of dollars. That's the goddamn heathens for you.
Let's go. Let's go.
The movie Titanic.
Oh, no. I mean, you got to be a complete moron. I mean, I don't see how people watch.
Making a movie out of
Huh?
that ship disaster.
It was all fake. It was nothing even original about it. There was nothing. And they're out there kissing, and you going down at sea. You're praying, you're crying, and you're trying to do everything you can. Death is rough. And them people out there kissing. Bye, darling. Well, hell, you got nothing but morons in this country. Bye-bye. You read a newspaper, you're crazy. It's stupid. And World War II, they don't even know why they had a World War II. The only reason they had a World War II is take everything everybody got. And this here war is World War III, we call it. When they get done, they're going to compensate everything everybody's got in the United States. We owe $17 trillion now.
I ain't got anything, so it don't matter.
Well, you're ahead, but I mean, 17, we haven't paid for World War I, let alone World War II. And we go over there in Vietnam, Korea, and all them places, and every time we drop a missile, it's $1 million. Maybe 10 million, and we got to pay for it. Yes, sir. Well, she said, I bet that's something to see them people. And religion right up here is the biggest bunch of bullshit that's ever created. That's the biggest lie man ever created, is religion. You go in there and pray 1,000 years. You don't accomplish a thing. You go in that church.
When you were a kid, did you ever go to church?
No, hell no.
You never did go one time to church?
I may have been in there one time, but
these church folks didn't come help you?
Huh?
Did the church folks come and help you?
Now we're going on around.
No, I got to get back to the house.
Okay. No, hell, they all poor as we. They didn't have nothing. Most of them didn't have a damn thing.
What about the wealthy church-going people?
Shit. You were to spend on them, they put that reduced weight on you real quick. You weighed 300, they'll have you down to 85 pounds before it's over. Religion is the biggest lie that's ever wrote by man. And
now, was the church school here? Stop right here just a second.
Huh?
Was the school?
That's a school right there.
Was it here?
Yeah, sir.
It was here.
Yes, sir.
That's where you went, right?
That's
there.
where I went down there and sat there all day.
What was your teacher like?
Oh, mean son of a bitch. The meanest that ever lived, and that son of a bitch is still living too.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Let's go visit him.
Oh, she don't know nothing now, but she was the meanest son of a bitch. She whipped a kid in there. And Arnold'sville back here, there's about 15 of them. And she wore the switch out over him and turned the big end around, wore it out over his head. I'd have killed her if it had been Mike. And his ears run for a year.
What was he doing?
I don't know.
All the desk in there, and y'all just went in there every morning?
Sat down, went in there and sat down. That's all.
And
Did
then
you learn anything?
Huh?
Then you started your alphabet and counting?
Oh, no, there's one teacher and 30 kids. What you gonna? They don't care, man. They didn't care about you. They didn't have time to fool with you.
Who was the teacher?
Well, you had Nina Mae Vantrees was one, and you had Lucille Edwards was another one.
Lucille's still alive.
Yeah, she's still living, but she never done much teaching. Hell. Well, you must realize when you come from the background, I mean the wrong side, and you have to pay the price. I mean, we don't. Most people, they don't expect anything. They don't expect anything in life.
Who don't expect anything?
The poor kids. They don't. Well, hell, they wouldn't know what it is to go to college and all tuition paid. Shit. They never even thought about it. They didn't get a chance to go.
You used to ride a wagon or walk down there?
Walk and ride a wagon. You
Walk
could.
out that road right there, the one we passed.
Yeah, all back in there. You know where Magnus lives back here? Hall and them. Back there. And they lived there. She did for 79 years back there. But you know, they holler that the black man's been mistreated. They don't tell you anything about the 50, 60 white peasants. Poor whites have been mistreated too. And they know, see, that ever so often the big boys, I'm calling about the Rothschilds and the big ones, they change the society. Like the Roman Empire, it fell. This one will fall. But Keynes wrote the capitalist system. And under his system, if a baby's born last night, he owes the federal government $45,000 it does. Immediately, when it starts breathing, $45,000. So the debt we owe can never be paid. The only one way we got to go, do away with this society, do away with this money, and come out with new.
So I got a question for you. How did you arrive at all your political?
Because I went to school practically all my life.
Yeah.
Been in school, reading, going to school all my life.
He learned it at Harrican.
No, I left here. I left. I don't even like this section of the country. I mean, but I will say this, no reference to you people. I met one man in my lifetime. One man's all I ever met. No, not you people. And I exchanged information, he with me, and he says, you'll never have to work again as long as you live. And he put a stamp on a piece of paper, and I haven't. And I showed him how to spread his money throughout the world to keep it. Money people, he was rich. He was a doctor. And money people, they have people to figure these things out for them. But they don't keep their money in one country. When this country goes, they go to another country. Australia, New Zealand, all the countries, and they have millions in each one of these countries. They don't care about America. If it goes down, hell, they just go to another country.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think of the 60s movement? Like,
Oh, that's just kid stuff. David Rockefeller, hell's behind it all.
no, I mean the youth movement, and like
Huh?
the youth movement, people being
Yeah, but David
against
Rockefeller has to
capitalism
okay it. It wouldn't be done. Hell, he owns all newspapers. He owns all magazines. They own it all. And nothing can be printed unless he says so. And regardless, that 60 movement, some hippie out here, why, she's less than nothing. And they start all that bow, wow, wow to set them up for a revolution. They'll kill every damn one of them. They got all the ammunition, they got all the guns. Hell, what chance you got? And they want to get them to marching, and we got our rights now. Let me tell you, you sure have to be bared. Well, hell, man, you think that they could carry on to World War II and had men all over the goddamn world and kept track of all of them, all over the world fighting. And these little civil rights still here, they don't mean a damn thing other than that's what they want.
Watch these horses.
Yeah. The reason that we're where we are today is because the big man wants us there.
Go on here, go on by.
The big man calls the shots on everything. He wants us where we are or we wouldn't be there. Well, they got out of line so-and-so. Why, hell, it don't make no difference. If they wanted to stop it, they go in and shoot them down and forget about it. And as I say, don't watch television. Don't believe anything you read in the newspaper. They're all firmly controlled by the wealthy.
So I got another question for you.
Mhm.
In light of the way you feel about things, how can a person live a sane life in a world like we live in today?
You can't. The only hope you'd have, is try another country. The only chance you got.
What country would you recommend?
Well, preferably, I'd try to go New Zealand. If they'll let you in, they tell me they won't. I don't know. Maybe I'd fish a little with Australia, a English-speaking country that's controlled basically by the English people. I wouldn't. Canada is better than we are, all the way.
What is worse about America than say New Zealand? I mean,
they have more. They give a little more rights. In other words, they go over here and they close this woolen mill, right, in Lebanon. You don't know about it, but that's been there since 1910. They give them a slip and tell them, there's the gate. Now, you've been there 30 years, and they kick you right out in the street with nothing. You can't do that in them other countries. They won't let them. They have laws. If you work a man 15 or 20 years, you've got to compensate him some way, somehow. This country, they can do any damn thing they want to, and money will let them get away with it. I own a trucking company, you and I. And we said, we got a couple of hundred people here are going to come in on us for retirement. Let's bankrupt the son of a bitch. All right, we bankrupt it. You come in and buy it, or Ingram comes in and buy it. We still control it. We lay all these people off. Bankruptcy. You understand what I mean? What chance you got? You don't have any. So the same thing, any country that has better bylaws than here, here it's direct destruction all the way. Because, why? You can't shut off, you can't do what we've done, bringing all these people from other countries and give them food stamps, give them medical and everything. And a man's worked hard all his life and his wife. Go up here to this hospital, if he's got $200,000, they'll take every damn penny of it. But they'll bring foreigners in here and give them whatever they want, send their kids to school, they can get more money than the ones born here. So you look at the pattern when it's laid out. Everything calls for destruction. And the destruction is, most people today out in the western part of the United States, we'll say Idaho, Montana, and all them countries, David Rockefeller's working right there with them. He wants them like they are. He wants the trouble. And you could work around the clock, day and night, you won't go nowhere, because they'll close the banks like they did in the 30s eventually. And when they do that, that's all she wrote. And as I say, now this time, the last time we had a depression, and you can come out of depression. It's rough, but you can come out of it. But this time, there is no coming out, because after World War II, they says, let's go back to gold standard, $35 an ounce, and come out. They says, no, we're going to go in a different direction. We're going off the gold standard. We're going to take all the gold and silver out of the United States, and we're just going to print the dollar till the printing press gives out. And then it's all over. Now, you stop and think. I'm in line